Hey, what's happening, guys? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to discuss how it's a pretty big day for Nintendo. It's an important day for Nintendo, the end of an era, some might say. I actually would definitely say that. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to look at what's happening, why it's an end of an era, and what we might be able to expect going forward from Nintendo. Now, the gist of what I'm talking about probably won't be a big surprise to most of you. As many of us know, today was officially Reggie Fils-Aime's last day as president of Nintendo of America. And it's very sad, super tragic to myself and to a lot of you guys as well. It's been an emotional day. There's been a lot of talk and conversation, a lot of thank you Reggies and we love you Reggie and good luck in the future Reggie kind of stuff from today showing up online and on Twitter. And, you know, we knew that he announced this a couple of months ago, that he was going to be officially retiring. I mean, the guy, as far as we know, he's not working anymore. It's not something where he's leaving Nintendo for another company or a different position at a new job. No promotion at some sort of different industry. He's just retiring. He's actually retiring early because if I remember right, I'm pretty sure he's in his 50s. So he's clearly done pretty well for himself running Nintendo of America for the past 15 or some odd years and doing a great job. And, you know, I discussed in my video when he made the announcement, it's very sad for me because I associate Reggie, his introduction to the public, the gaming public, and to the Nintendo fan, with my one and only trip to E3 in 2004, which was an incredible experience. In my personal and humble opinion, the best E3 I think that there's ever been. I'm probably a little bit biased, but really it was a fantastic E3. And I just think Reggie's the man, and I'm really going to miss him. And of course, conveniently enough, his last day at Nintendo on the job was also marked by his first day on Twitter. Reggie, you cheeky bastard. Of course he was going to slip in something like this. Obviously, Reggie's last day was something that a lot of people were... It was a date that a lot of people were circling, expecting or hoping something might actually come. Like maybe one last announcement, one last gift Reggie wants to give us before he steps away from Nintendo after such an awesome run. People thought there was going to be a Nintendo Direct, as I discussed in last week's video about the April 11th Direct. We talked about it a little bit on the Spawncast this past weekend as well. A lot of people definitely thought that maybe he was going to leave us with the announcement of the Metroid Prime trilogy. And of course, my heart breaks in telling you that that did not happen. But he did join Twitter, which I think is kind of hilarious, actually. That's a very, very Reggie kind of move, so I sort of appreciate that. You can see his account. The guy is following literally no one, so that's pretty funny as well. And, yeah, so he made his tweet, you know, he showed his robot chicken doll. Hello, Twitter, my name is Reggie. Oh, Reggie, you're doing it to me. You're killing me, man. Please come back. Anyway, if we get a little bit more serious about this, Reggie retiring also symbolizes the kind of ongoing change I think that we've been seeing Nintendo go through. They've been going through a makeover of sorts the past couple of years, right? I would say that their change really started, and I hate to drudge up the bad memories, but I think if we're being really honest with ourselves, I think that Nintendo really began a little bit of a public course correction after Satoru Iwata unfortunately passed. And while I think that no one, no fan, no one at Nintendo, definitely not myself, would trade the success Nintendo might be having now or their new kind of faith in themselves that they have for Iwata, I would do anything to have that man back. I think it was such a tragic loss and so unfortunate for his family and for the company and for the gaming industry. At the end of the day, I really think that a polar shift sort of had to happen. You know, in a sense that Nintendo's hand was forced, you know? It's not so much like I'm trying to say Nintendo couldn't just wait to get rid of the guy so they could move on. I'm sure that they were devastated and weren't prepared for it. But their hand was definitely forced to change leadership simply because of that. And I think that that started to put in place some building blocks for the future. Now, of course, I know what a lot of you guys might say, that the Nintendo NX was announced before Satoru Iwata passed. So there is that. It's not like they realized that they needed to make the switch happen just because Iwata was no longer there and they had to move on with different leadership. Obviously, Iwata was instrumental in putting in place the building blocks for the Switch because, like I said, the Nintendo NX was something discussed before he passed away. But once they had to change leadership because of that, and Tatsumi Kimishima came around, I think that when you look at the way the last couple of years of the Wii U kind of filtered out, and then we moved into this new current era we're in, we've seen a lot of changing leadership, we've seen a lot of change in marketing, we've seen a much better product than their last one, even though I love the flippin' Wii U, you guys know that, and I just think that there's a lot of signs for where things might be going forward now that we're seeing another huge change in leadership. In fact, if we even trace back to mid last year, 2018, it was around that time that Tatsumi Kimishima wrapped up his short run as the acting president and CEO of Nintendo of Japan in Iwata's stead after he passed. I think he did a great job handling the last few years of the Wii U and getting us ready for this, new era with the Nintendo Switch and announcing the thing and having so many great games, first-party, third-party companies lined up and all that stuff. And now we've moved into the Shuntaro Furukawa. I might have butchered his first name, and so apologies on that. Shuntaro Furukawa, that's what it is. So he took over last year. Kimishima stepped down. He stepped away for his interim period. We get Furukawa in, and now Reggie, Nintendo of America, steps down, and we welcome Doug Bowser. And so we've had two huge change in leadership, and just within the last calendar year. I mean, they're less than 12 months apart. This changing of the guard, both in Nintendo of Japan, the headquarters, and now Nintendo of America, their second largest entity and second largest territory. And with all of these changes, and with the new Nintendo of America president, what do we think we might see from Nintendo? How do we think it will be going forward? And, what I wanted to talk about was how I honestly have a lot of faith. And while I'm sad Reggie's leaving and I wish he was staying, I'm also weirdly excited. I don't know if that makes sense, and I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way. But there's something about a change when it happens in the right way and in the right space, and the way I think it's happening now with Nintendo and in the space that it's happening and with the current success of the company, I just really feel good about it, Again, I'm weeping for Reggie, y'all. I want Reggie to stay for like an eternity. I wish the guy was immortal and would never go away. I know people have crapped on him in the past, but I've loved the guy every day he's been around. I've never had an issue with him. And so I really am sad to see him go, but I just feel this weird sort of elation over the possible future. Now, to be honest, I'm not super familiar with Doug Bowser. He hasn't really been around for Nintendo for that long, only a couple of years, and he hasn't really been too much of a public-facing figure. He has done some things. He helped launch some hardware and stuff at the Nintendo New York store, and he's appeared on stage here and there, but he's never really had the kind of presence that people like Iwata and Miyamoto and Reggie have had over the years. So I can't talk about Doug Bowser, of course, like I'm an expert, but I just feel like it just seems like the right time for him to take over. And I feel like if he was the guy chosen based on everything Nintendo is doing right now, I'm sure it was the right call. And of course, I also understand that Nintendo of America doesn't truly lead the charge of Nintendo. That does happen from the headquarters in Japan. It's where Miyamoto is located. It's where Furukawa is located and Kimishima was and everything. That's really the head of the company for sure. So, the changing of the guard here in America, or at least in the West, it is significant, and I think it does have a huge impact who's running the company out here in the States, for sure, but it doesn't make the biggest impact. It's really the changing of the guard in Japan, so that's why I feel like it's interesting seeing that change to Furukawa in Japan, and now the change to Doug Bowser here in America, along with all of the other territories. I just think that the future of Nintendo is really getting shaped right now in front of our eyes, you guys. These are the new guys. One of the last old guard people around that we know as the gaming public, at least, is Miyamoto. And as we also know, while we're on the topic of changing of the guard, we're all very familiar with the fact that Miyamoto really kind of stepped away from game development a good couple of years ago. To our knowledge, the last stuff he worked on hands-on was Star Fox Zero, Pikmin 3, and that Star Fox Guard Project Robot stuff. Some of that also became Labo stuff, but I don't know if we really have any indication that he was directly involved with Labo. I think as far as actual software that actually released the way it was supposed to, it was Pikmin 3, Star Fox Zero, and Star Fox Guard. He's been working more on the business side. Obviously, he's been working with the theme park development that we're all very familiar with, that we know is going to show up in the next couple of years. And I mean, it's sad for me to say this, but I think in the next 5 years, Miyamoto might also be retiring. Just a random prediction. I'm not trying to put depressing stuff out there to everybody, but that's kind of what I am expecting. I mean, and when you consider the fact he hasn't been making actual Nintendo video games for a while, I don't know if we're going to see much of a change by the time he would retire compared to where we are right now in the first couple of years in the Nintendo Switch. And so that whole thing kind of brings me back to what I'm really trying to get at with this video. We've got a new Nintendo. We have a semi-new device. Obviously, we just had the 2-year anniversary of the console. We have probably another 3 or so years of it left, at least per my personal prediction and opinion. And we now have new leadership in their two biggest territories, Japan and America, with, of course, Japan being the actual headquarters. And so I think we are officially full steam ahead on the future of Nintendo for what will probably be the next 20 or 30 years. A very interesting position to be in. And like I already said several minutes ago, I mean, I'm optimistic, you guys. I think that seeing Nintendo have this amazing recovery from the Wii U years, bounce back like we've almost never seen a company in gaming do before, coming off of the failure of the Wii U into the Nintendo Switch, into meteoric stratosphere levels of success with the Nintendo Switch, you guys. I mean, if the Nintendo Switch was just on pace to be what the Xbox One is in terms of success and sales, I think that would have been seen as a huge success in its own right, comparing the Wii U to that level of success. But all indications are that the Nintendo Switch is going to really just blow even the Xbox One's level of success out of the water. We all know in the next couple of months before the end of the year, the Switch is going to surpass the Xbox One's lifetime sales. That's how well it's doing. And when you compare the sales numbers of software on the Switch compared to the best sales numbers on the Xbox One, again, it dwarfs that success. And I'm not crapping on the Xbox or Microsoft. You guys know I'm a huge fan of them as well. But when you compare it, and you compare also that success to the Wii U, it's amazing. And I think that comes down to three major things. One is the quality of the hardware. The Nintendo Switch was the perfect device at the perfect time, the perfect complement to the company and their innovation, and the perfect thing to come after the failed Wii U. It also comes down to their incredible marketing, because as we all know, Nintendo really sucked with marketing the last couple of years, but once the Switch era came along, they're like a whole new ballgame, man. It's like a whole new company doing different things we haven't seen them do in so long, and their marketing has been absolutely perfect, hence the strong sales. And the last, and in my opinion most important thing, is the games. They've got a stronger library of games than they had throughout the entire Wii U generation, and you guys know, I love the Wii U. I think it has an incredible library. The Wii U did have the games. Let's not make any mistakes here. It did have the games. But I think the Switch has the games 10 times over compared to the Wii U. And that includes both first and third party. And so right there, I think you have the perfect recipe for success, man. You have a great product, you have great marketing, and you have great games. You cannot fail if you've got those things in place. Literally, everything else around you can be falling apart and burning down. But if you have those three elements in place, those are the three pillars that are going to keep your company successful and keep it propped up and just doing well. And we're seeing evidence of that with the Switch and all of these great games and the sales of the games and the sales of the console. And, you know, I could drone on and on about all of this stuff, but you look at that recipe for success, and now we look at new leadership coming in, and there's always a chance new leadership is a mistake and not a great choice. There's a chance Furukawa long-term turns out to be a mistake. There's a chance long-term Doug Bowser turns out to be a mistake. Yeah, maybe these aren't the right guys for the job. But I don't really feel that they're going to be, and I'm sure that most of you guys don't feel that either. Clearly, Nintendo has a strong head on their shoulders. They have a clear path to the future. They know what they're trying to achieve right now with this company, with the device of the Switch, hopefully with whatever comes after the Switch, which I believe we're going to see around 2021 or 2022. And I guess it's just kind of a wait-and-see game, but right now, the future of Nintendo looks so bright and feels so good. And as a lifelong Nintendo fan since 1985 when the NES launched and I played it as a little kid, it feels amazing to see. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss today. I thought that where Nintendo is right now and where we're going with the new change in leadership is very interesting. And like I've said 1,000 times in this video, I'm very excited, so I want to hear from you guys. Are you also excited? Do you also feel optimistic about the future? Do you think that Furukawa and Doug Bowser and all of these new people coming on board and the changing of the guard the last few years, do you see them as good things? Do you see this as a positive sign? Or are you a little bit worried or nervous? Do you think that maybe there's still a lot for Nintendo to have to prove before we can just be all in on the future of their success for the next 2 or 3 decades? Tell me what you think below. That's going to be it. This video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.